for that, Keith.
Thank you, Keith. My name is Brandon Camacho. I'm a supply chain management consultant here at RPI. I joined the company in 2020. I've been working in the Infor space since 2007. I reside just west of Phoenix, Arizona, and most of my free time when not working is spent with my two children who play baseball and volleyball, and it seems like that's all we do.
Thank you for that, Brandon. My name is Kaylin Hughes. I'm a supply chain management business analyst. I joined RPI back in October of 2022, so I've been here just over a year now. I reside in Baltimore, Maryland, so I'm very, very lucky to have the headquarters as my home office. Fun facts, I played college lacrosse. I love to travel, love taking my dog on hikes. She's a border collie, so she's extremely hyper. And I love really doing any outdoor adventures.
Thank you, Kaylin. So the agenda today, or our hope for today, is to give viewers kind of a high-level overview of some of the new and exciting features that have come out in the past few CUs and some of the upcoming CUs that are coming out in the supply chain management world. This is some of the latest and greatest functionality and is available to everyone.
So just a little bit of a background on CUs and when they are released. Like Brandon said, the CUs that we're going to cover today are some that recently came out and some that we can expect to see in the near future. We're going to look at September, October, and November releases, and then the future ones that come out in December and January. So CUs follow a really strict schedule. For those customers who have the prod environment, you can expect to see the CU releases the third Saturday of every month. And then those customers who opt in for the pre-prod environment will have access to the releases the second Thursday of every month. And really the purpose of CUs essentially are to correct bugs and make CloudSuite functionality a lot easier for the end user and make it just easier to live out our day-to-day processes, whether that's doing updates to the business classes, formed lists, or just changing the feature functionality.
Thank you for that, Kaylin. So today we're going to go over some of the CUs that we're going to cover. We have some of them that are living in the core SCM world. We have some that live in the self-service world, such as RSS. And at the end, we're going to go into some of the MSCM functionality, which is some of the stuff that I like the best.
I know, MSCM can be a tongue twister.
Oh yeah, it's a fun one.
So to start off our enhancements, this one is going to be one that will pertain to any really users of CloudSuite, not just supply chain specifically, but this we thought is a really good one for customers who do a lot of reporting. And this one is going to be limited information on PDF and CSV outputs. So back in before, when we would pull from a list view or a form, we would pull all the data elements from that list. We didn't have really a way of tailoring the results in CloudSuite. We'd have to do that after when it was a CSV file and make our own edits. With this update, we can print a subset of information so we can really tailor our reports exactly to what the user needs. There was some concerns with customers that if they would pull sensitive information, whether that was like personal information or patient information, they were a little concerned that it might get out to the wrong end users or have fallen into an email that shouldn't have been sent to the people that it did. So with this, we can tailor the report right on CloudSuite. We don't have to do it afterwards. We can make sure all the information that we want to output on our report is there, and we can download it exactly how it is instead of having to tailor it after it's been downloaded.
Awesome.
So kind of keeping on that same track of the PDF and CSV files is now you can automatically download them straight from CloudSuite. So before we would have to download our report and then go to My Print Files and download it again from there. However, they came out with this new setting which is completely user optional. So if this isn't something that's applicable for you, not to worry, you don't have to opt in for this, but this will make downloading PDF and CSV files a lot easier. So when the file is downloaded, depending on the browser that you have, it'll just either download to the browser or open up automatically. So it saves those clicks and those times from going to My Print Files and re-downloading it from there. I know for me, when I have to go to My Print Files, I kind of forget that I even downloaded the report, and I'll have to, a couple minutes or hours later, be like, oh yeah, that's right, that's what I was working on. So this is super nice just to have the information readily available in our report, popping right open on our desktop. And a really cool thing about this feature now is once we go to export our resort, it'll give us this notification that you can see here on the screen where it says your PDF is being generated, and then it'll kind of give us this time frame of what we can expect to see once our PDF or CSV is downloaded. So if it's a small file, it'll say, oh, it'll just take a couple seconds, or if it's a larger file, it'd be like, oh, we need a couple minutes and whatnot. And the cool thing about this is that you can go ahead, hit dismiss, continue working in CloudSuite and doing whatever it is you need to do. And then as soon as that file is done, it'll just open up right there on your desktop for you to continue working with it.
Awesome, that's super nice. I think anytime you can save a click, it adds up at the end of the year for sure.
Absolutely.
So now we're going to move into some of our kind of, these are for those of you using Supplier Portal or taking advantage of Supplier Portal. This is a supplier-submitted requisition for bill onlys. So essentially this is a rec for a rec. What it does is it allows your supplier to submit the bill only requisition themselves. This can be useful if you have a vendor supplier who's constantly updating their catalog, part numbers are changing, you want to offload some of that work, or if it would just be easier for the vendor to take care of it. This does not bypass any of your internal approval flows. What it does is the supplier would submit the requisition. It would then get assigned to a traditional internal requester who would then do the approving, releasing, and then it would just go through the normal organizational approval flow. But what it does is it lets you kind of offload some of that work, or maybe the supplier just knows their catalog a little bit better, and it's kind of nice for them to be able to do that.
Absolutely. I think a lot of my clients could benefit from that functionality.
For sure, for sure. Another item in the RSS vein is there is the ability to request an item be added to the item master, or sometimes request a vendor to be added to the item master. Previously, this was an all or nothing setting that was defined at the company level. Now it's a flag that can be defined at the individual requester level. So maybe you have a subset of power users or power requesters who you want to give this functionality to, but you don't necessarily want everyone in the house requesting new items or requesting new vendors. So this is just a nice way to kind of divvy up that functionality.
Awesome, thank you for that. So kind of keeping on the RSS topic, this enhancement really is for the end user's experience. They wanted to make it just a little bit better. So this one will look at adding inventory as an option for catalog search results in RSS. So this really introduces another layer of search sorting by using inventory as a sorting method. It is for requesters only, so if you wanted to have a group that had access to this functionality, you could, or if you didn't want it at all, totally optional. It is user controlled, so what this does is it kind of adds this layer of sorting for when you go into RSS. It'll have their inventory items listed first. So the order in which it looks at, it'll do stock, non-stock, special, and services. So it'll list it in that order, and then this is really cool that it can do kind of a secondary filter as well. So in our example here, we have where it's filtering on inventory and cost. So when we go into RSS, it's going to show me my inventory item on my top list with the lowest cost. So then it'll kind of work its way down, increasing in cost, but this is super helpful. So if I know I wanted to order inventory instead of non-stock, I have that right there and available. So really enhances our user experience, and it improves our item identification for sure. Yeah,
it's a great way to drive users to order or requisition for those inventory items and kind of stop some of those errant special items that have increased cost associated with them.
Yeah. Okay, so switching from RSS to a little bit of contract management. So now for contracts, we can create conditional questions. So when we're building out our contract and we have to add some questions and answers to be on our contract, we can now do what they call branching type questions. So essentially this is exactly what it sounds like. If we have one question, we can kind of branch our response off to the second question. So if, say for example, I put for my first question a yes or no response where I ask, are you licensed and bonded? If the supplier selected yes, then a new field would populate in which they could input their license number or input any information that corresponded to the answer right above. So I think this is really helpful in creating or kind of understanding your suppliers to a more degree, where versus we just had generic questions that they could answer yes, no, and not have to really go in depth. So this allows you to get more information from your suppliers and kind of understand their process better by having this kind of flow down the level relating back to each question.
So in my business, for example, if I need a specific certification, I'd be able to create that question, and then you'd be able to specifically answer about this specific certification I need.
Absolutely. And then another cool thing about this is, say it is a yes or no question and it is, like Brandon mentioned, a certification, you could allow them to have the second question be a file upload where they're have to provide proof for that certification or proof for that license. They could do it here, so it's not, they can't just skip over it. They'll have to be required to show that as a proof of certification.
Nice, very nice quality of life improvement.
So then another one that we thought was worth mentioning was a group pick by requesting location. So this can be used on the process purchase request and warehouse pick list print jobs. So previously in CloudSuite, you were only able to select a single requesting location. You couldn't really filter by anything other than that. But with this enhancement, not only do you have the option to just filter by requesting location, you can actually create a requesting location group and filter through that way. So this will just make processing requests and deliveries a lot easier by having them all in one location rather than picking through each one. It kind of get confusing. This will be able to hone down and make sure that you have every information and every requesting location that you need right there.
Very nice, very nice. Now we're going to kind of dive into the MSCM world. This first one we're going to talk about is a PO receiving scan. If you have your vendor item numbers or your G10 numbers populated on your item master, what you'll be able to do with this is on the handheld, scan any barcode on the packer, vendor item number, or G10, and what that will do is bring up any open PO that may have that item on it. So if you are receiving, you don't happen to know the PO number, go ahead and just scan that packer, scan that barcode, and it's going to bring up your open POs with that item. So it'll be kind of a quicker way to figure out what you're looking for.
So you say open PO. So I'm not going to be able to see historical.
No, you will not see historical. It will only be your open POs because
good.
It could be a giant list if you brought up all historical POs.
Okay, that's awesome.
Second on the list is badge scanning validation. So when you're using the handhelds to do your deliveries, sometimes I know in a past life I've had to key in a bunch of information, ask the users for, can you give me this, can you give me this? They may be busy, they maybe don't want to talk to you sometimes. So what this does is this ties back to HCM, and this will scan your badge, and this is assuming that your badge numbers match your employee number, and it'll pull back all associated information with you as well as delivery location. If in the case your badge number does not match your employee number, in MSCM, in the label management tool, you can actually print out barcodes for employees that they can then put that sticker on the back of their badge, on their desk, and now you always have a sticker that you can tie back to and scan and track all your deliveries.
That, I think, is going to be a very useful one for MSCM users. So another really cool one that we wanted to point out, continuing with our MSCM theme here, is license plate receiving and delivery. So this enhancement creates an ad hoc manifest or license plates that can be used for the receipts and delivery for multiple packages under a single barcode. So with this, users will be able to group multiple delivery tickets and print out a single corresponding label that allows them to scan just once for the delivery and confirmation of all those packages. And this really saves time rather than having to unload all these packages, scan in, let's say tens, hundreds of packages that come off of this delivery truck. Now we can just create this one barcode, scan it, and that'll count for, kind of act like a proof of payment and confirmation that we have received all these packages rather than going one by one, which takes a lot of time and is really time consuming. So this is super helpful for all those warehouse people who just want to get it done and over with, scan it, and you're done.
Awesome, a big time saver, a big time saver there. Now we're talking about MSCM transactions. So typically in the current environment, you do some MSCM transactions, you do a transfer, you do an issue, you get an error, you have to go back to the MSCM portal and you have to look it up there and you have to either correct it there or reissue it. In this new enhancement, you'll be able to do all that from the handheld. You can do your issues, you can do your transfers. If something errors out, you can work the error right there on the handheld, you can resubmit. The caveat with this is you're only going to be able to see your transactions. You will not be able to see the whole organization's. But it is a nice time save that you no longer have to go back to a desktop to do that correction. You can do it right there on the handheld.
It's awesome. Saves you time from going into the portal.
Very much so, very much so. And my favorite one in the MSCM world is we now have a Microsoft Word label editor direct from Infor. This stops you having to use the third-party label editors. I know some of us out there have used Avery in the past. Some of us have to use the Zebra that we all love. This lets you do everything in Word. It lets you format the label to fit your organization. It does your barcodes. It'll do QR codes. It's just a huge quality of life improvement, in my opinion, to just be able to do that in Word without having to use a third-party tool at all.
So those who are familiar with IDM, this is kind of similar
Very similar to IDM.
Okay.
Yeah, formatting and template.
That's awesome. I think that's very helpful to be able to personalize it exactly how you need to.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah. So those are the CUs that we wanted to cover today. I mean, there are many, many, many CUs out there, so we really want to push you guys to go learn more about them. We wish we could stand up here all day and talk about the new CUs and what's to come and what you can expect. But just some takeaways that we wanted to touch base on before we end here is that CUs really focus on enhancing the user's experience in CloudSuite.
Sure, bug fixes, enhancements.
Yeah. So the functionality really increases with every one of these CUs that come out, and it's constantly evolving. Like I said, that they make this so they want to make the user's processes from day to day a lot easier, make it easier to navigate. They really are looking for just to up the experience that you have while navigating and performing your company's processes in CloudSuite.
Yeah, I would recommend if the stuff interests you or you want to stay up to date, definitely get on the Infor mailing list, get the emails. They put them out pretty regularly. And they definitely go over all the enhancements that are coming out with every CU. So it's a good place to start.
So yeah, definitely be on the lookout for these CUs. There are a bunch of MSCM CUs to be deployed here recently. I know we only touched base on a couple of them, but you can expect to see a lot more. When we were doing our research, I was overwhelmed with how many that are going to come out, and they're really, really cool. There's the badge scanning is having a phase 2, which is going to be really interesting. So definitely recommend getting in there, practicing with these new CU updates, and doing some research on so you can see what you're going to expect here in the next couple months.
Very nice.
And then just to end, if you guys want to do some HCM road mapping festival, RPI is hosting a very good one by Infor certified instructors, where you can come in, get hands-on with the HCM CloudSuite, and learn a lot, have fun, while also learning a lot of interesting processes.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah.
And then for those of us who want a little more of a deeper dive, RPI does offer a CloudSuite bootcamp. That gets into overall system architecture, general navigation, your transactions, user management, security, job scheduling, some of the tools you'd use, the spreadsheet designer that replaces your add-ins. It's really a deep dive in the world in CloudSuite. New customers, those transitioning from the V10 world, it's a great place to start to get your project going.
I had the opportunity to be instructor for one of these CloudSuites, and I can't do anything else besides say it is a great opportunity to get around, play in it, and see if it's right for you and learn some of the new functionality that it has to offer.